Okay, I've been wanting to try quadratic scaling with the Clamora Prism, and I'm finally in a position where I can actually show you what that looks like. And it's pretty good. Here we are in the simulacrum with Mad Prime. We're going to summon a bunch of level 170 corrupted heavy gunners. We're going to put them in a Magpie's bubble, and then with a contamination wave and a contamination wave only. Notice how all of these corrupted heavy gunners have begun to die purely because of electric procs. Yes, electric damage, that's right. So let me show you what I'm using with regards to this particular amp. Kategari's Verity is an amp that has a Clamora Prism, a Phahd Scaffold, which is the scap, which I'll show you in a sec, and the Lauren Brace. So that is, of course, actually a brace that you can get from Quill Onco. So if you do a lot of Eidolon hunting, you can easily get this particular brace. And it is actually a crit stat hybrid brace. It gives you a bunch of crit chance and a bunch of status chance as well. As you can see, my crit chance on my Clamora Prism, which is of course the primary, is sitting at 50%, which is still really high, and my status chance is now sitting at 22%, which of course is really good. On top of that, we've also got a secondary, which is the Phahd Scaffold, so the crit chance on that particular one is 46%, and the status chance on it is 24%. Now let me show you what the Phahd Scaffold actually does. So this is what the Phahd Scaffold actually does. It essentially just searches enemies, and then it just bounces between them and just kills them. You can shoot it on the ground, and then it'll just start to search up enemies, like so. So yeah, it's pretty good at like attacking enemies from a long distance, that kind of thing. That's essentially the amp. It's really good. Now, the reason why I'm doing electric damage is because I'm using something called Virtuous Surge. I highly recommend it if you want to do quadratic scaling means, or if you just want to use electricity damage. On top of that, I'm also using Virtuous Ghost, so whenever I do a headshot, I actually get an additional 40% status chance just right off the bat. So that's of course going to be really good. You pair that with Virtuous Surge and quadratic scaling, you get a lot of status chance, and then you can basically stack on the electricity proc. And that's essentially how we're able to do tons of damage to a bunch of enemies that are grouped together with electric damage. So that's of course going to be really good. But aside from that, let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below. Is this the kind of amp that you would use? I feel like this is like a super duper multi-purpose amp. Now, if you happen to not use electricity damage, if you decide to actually go to sticking with something like Virtuous Strike, Virtuous Ghost to have additional crit damage and additional status chance, that actually is a very good idea, because the Phahd Scaffold actually works a little bit differently. Let me show you what that looks like. We're back here in the simulacrum, and we're going to use the Phahd Scaffold using primarily void damage. Now notice how when I attack an enemy who is affected by a void status proc, i.e. they have the little magnetized bubble on them, the Phahd Scaffold glaive thing no longer bounces to other enemies, it starts bouncing on the same enemy. So that's of course going to do quite a lot of damage. And it actually does quite a lot of ticks. So obviously if they're not that heavily armored, then they actually start to do quite a lot of damage. We're going to use Void Strike. Just like that, you can definitely do a lot of single target damage at that point, so that could be a really cool way to kill quite a lot of enemies. Or at least like particularly tanky enemies like so. But generally speaking, the idea is to basically fire this into a group of enemies and just let the glaive bounce between different enemies. That's essentially the idea. So that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more Warframe content, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye!
Stay focused. There's a heavy unit approaching.